Hello, and welcome back to Books and Tea with Katie, the podcast where we sip tea and talk books, fiction, books, literature, fantasy, mystery, witch, ghost, time travel, angels, all of it, especially cozy ones, right? I'm your host, Katie, and today we are heading back in time, more specifically to the 1920s. It's a historical cozy mystery called The Bottled Bootlegger by D.S. Lang that we'll be talking about today. Now, if you're a fan of sleuthing, small town scandals, and a sprinkle of romance, this might be your cup of, tea. So get your teapot ready, get your cup ready, your mug ready, whether it's a latte or otherwise, and let's get started. The Bottled Bootlegger is the fifth installment in the Doro Banyon Historical Mysteries series. And as always, I always read the blurb first, so let's get started. It goes, a local bootlegger killed. Doro's would-be sweetheart undercover to investigate, and Doro searching for him when he disappears. Doro Banyon, college librarian and amateur sleuth, is excited to step out with Everett Mallow, campus security officer and deputy town constable, on their first date. The perfect evening ends on a sour note when a local bootlegger is murdered and his wife disappears. That leads to Ev temporarily returning to the Prohibition Bureau, where he goes undercover with bootleggers, much to Doro's dismay, especially when he goes missing. Determined to find him, she convinces her best friend and the town constable to search for Ev in the speakeasy, where he was last seen. Relief fills Doro when Ev is on the dance floor. Joy follows when he takes her into his arms. Both emotions are short-lived because, fearing for her safety, he wants her out of harm's way pronto. When they step outside, a rival gang armed with Tommy guns attacks the speakeasy and gunshots riddle the air. Can Doro and Ev both survive long enough to crack the case? That's the blurb. So, this book covers cozy mystery to a T. So you have the small town vibes. It's in Ohio, by the way. A strong yet relatable heroine. And a mystery that's twisty but never any gore, nothing like that on the page. Since it's set in the 1920s, you also get this subtle kind of, not so subtle, undercurrent of post-war like recovery efforts, gender roles. That's not so subtle. There's definite gender roles here and some class tensions here. And it's kind of all wrapped up in a polite conversation and vintage dresses and cars and that sort of thing. So for me anyway, there's a gentle feminist thread here too. And please don't get, oh no, it's feminism. No, she's just strong-minded and a lot of the time and determined, and she has a job, which is fantastic. She's educated. And so a lot of the time people place that as feminist, but so let's just throw that out. She's a very determined young woman. And she is expected to, kind of the sayings go, stay in her lane, right? But she's constantly not. She's not staying in her quote lane. And she's proving that lane isn't big enough for her. It's not big enough for her intellect, and even for others, because she has a really good friend, Aggie, that helps her. It seems like in the other books prior to this one, I haven't read those, that they kind of go together and they get themselves into a world of trouble and in danger, sure. It's just she uses her brain, and she's not going to let that stand, the social norms of the times kind of stand in her way. And I really appreciate that. That's really cool. So if you're looking for a mystery that's like won't stress you out, it still keeps you guessing, this one is something to consider. So at its core, the Bottled Bootlegger is about kind of, morality in some muddy waters, right? So the story wrestles with questions like, what happens when good people break bad laws? Or how do women create independence in a world that limits their options? So Doro's loyalty to her community and her quiet but persistent intellect carry this narrative forward in the book. You'll find all the usual suspects of cozy elements here. So again, strong community ties, vintage fashion though, that's really cool. I love historical cozies because you get that, especially if the author really studies, and this one did. So they get the era correct, spot on. Okay, vintage fashion and cars. There's cars in this that is super cool. Slow burn romance and obviously deduction. There's a subtle acknowledgement of like that time, the politics and social pressures of the time, but it's very subtle, and it's very well done. I love that she doesn't make, D.S. Lang doesn't make Doro like a caricature of what a 1920s woman should be. She made her her own person, and that was more common than not back then. I mean, I'm dating myself, but my grandmother was born in the 19 teens and, grew up in this era, and she was, very, very much had her head on her shoulders and knew what she wanted to do, and met with a lot of pushback from society, including some her own family members, but there were also other family members that helped her succeed in life and get that, get some education and open her own business. So, I can definitely relate to this because of my own familial background, and I really appreciate that, because in other books it's like, oh well, that I've read, it's kind of like, well, let's just base it off of what a 1920s woman would do, and this keeps in some norms, but it pushes them, definitely pushes the boundaries here, and I like that. Dora's thoughtful, she's very competent, she's very intellectual and very modern, right? It just has that authentic modern feel, and it's not forced. But don't just believe what I have to say. Reader reviews for this, I've read them for the Bottled Bootlegger, are generally positive. They're actually all positive. Most love Doro's character, which I've just kind of gone into. She's thoughtful, she's practical, she's refreshingly competent. She's not this like always getting herself into trouble and then having a male cop get her out of it. She has her friend, her best friend Aggie, who helps her as well. So it's not just her, it's another woman, and they help themselves out, and I love that. Some readers use the word fun and, quote, not what the reader expects as comments, and overall is a solid entry into cozy mystery. Solid. So that's exactly what a lot of us need these days, especially to escape, not something that will just kind of, and there are people that like psychological thrillers, and I'll get into those books later on. I'm in the cozy kick right now, and I just need some, not in my face, on the edge of my seat kind of a thing. I need light right now. I think a lot of people can relate to that. About this author, D.S. is initials D.S. Lang, L-A-N-G, is no stranger to this cozy mystery genre. She's a retired educator, and she loves writing historical cozy mysteries. It says, a love of small town life and smart, steady heroines. The Doro Banyon series includes several books thus far. Again, this is the 5th installment, and it starts with the cataloged corpse. So again, you get that kind of alliteration, or it's that title in cozy mysteries that you get that I really enjoy. Each one can stand alone. Although, I started on the 5th one, and I was able to, get into the story and everything else without a problem. So there you have that. So they're all standalone. I think if you wanted the arc, though, you would want to go back to the very beginning in the catalog corpse. But again, you can read them separately. At least this one I could. Though, again, reading them in order gives you more character development. Lang's background in education here shows through how she constructs the mysteries, and everything's logically laid out. It's a well-designed, I guess you would say, lesson plan. And if you enjoyed that, you've also got so again, the Catalog Corpse, you got the Jam Judges, the Problem Professor, so there is a series to binge here if you like series, and they definitely have twists to them. So what's the verdict on the Bottled Bootlegger? Well, I think it's cozy, as the name suggests, cozy mystery. I think it's clever, and I love that it's historical or historically grounded. It's exactly what it promises, a relaxing, cozy mystery with a heroine worth rooting for. If you're a fan of maybe Reese Bowen's Molly Murphy series, or maybe Miss Fisher mysteries, because that's the historical kind of in that little in that era, you'll probably enjoy D.S. Lang's take on the 1920s sleuthing with a Midwestern twist, of course, because it's in Ohio. Check her out on Amazon, and of course her website. It's D as in David, S as in Sam, Lang, Lang books.com for more information. And as always, if you read a book, please review it. Please go online and review it. I don't care if it's BookBub or, Amazon or Goodreads, or if you go on to, there's so many others. I'm drawing a blank right now. Google Play, Kobo, just anywhere you can, please leave it, because these indie authors really need our help right now. And I'm an indie author myself, and every review is, just wonderful. We need reviews, believe it or not. People say, well, we don't really need reviews. We really need reviews. So if you read it, please go ahead and give an honest review. Even if it's just a star rating, it helps. Okay. So, and that's it for today, though. Nice, short, sweet, to the point. That's today's episode of Books and Tea with KD. Whether you are sipping Earl Grey tea or poring over a mystery of your own, I hope this review helped you discover a new author today, and to add maybe to your cozy shelf. Until next time, keep your kettle warm, your books not dog-eared, please get a bookmark, and your suspects plenty. I'm KD, happy reading, people, and we'll talk again soon.